Welcome to the Studio Chat podcast, the podcast designed to be your companion in the journey of self-discovery. I'm Barbara Thompson, your host, and a dedicated therapist. I'm the founder and owner of Self-Care Studio, a private counselling practice. With my clients, in courses that I create, on this podcast, I'm committed to ensuring that you have the support that you need. I created this podcast as a space for you to feel a sense of connection and a reminder that you're not alone in this thing that we call life, this adventure. This podcast is your weekly reminder to trust yourself, live life authentically, and embrace the path that is uniquely yours. Together, we'll explore ways to break free from people-pleasing, overthinking, allowing you to claim your time and energy to live life on your terms. You'll be joined by myself as I take you through some episodes, or during the year, I'll have some special self-care experts as guests on my podcast. So if you're ready to step into a life that's truly for you, join me on this journey. Let's navigate the twists and turns of life together, and more importantly, live your life for you. So thank you so much for choosing to spend some time with me today. Let the studio chat begin. Hello, everyone. It's so nice to have you here. Welcome back to the Studio Chat podcast. Today, I really, I've been doing podcasts for a while now, and when I have met this beautiful woman in front of me today, I really want you to listen to this episode. This is going to be something that I think you're going to take a lot out of, and she is so magical, this woman. I'm literally fangirling over her, and I wanted to say that. So I want to introduce you to Michelle Woodward. She's a master life coach, an intuitive guide, and a certified hypnotherapist. She's dedicated to empowering highly sensitive individuals, families, and professionals who are driven by a profound sense of purpose. Over 2 decades, she's honored her skills in utilizing energetic tools to successfully ignite extraordinary breakthroughs, reshape our limiting beliefs, and bring simplicity to life's complexities, and have a lot of fun along the way. Welcome, Michelle, to the Studio Chat podcast.
Oh, thank you, Barbara, for having me. It's an honor to be here. I'm really excited for our chat today.
I'm really excited too. Now, you live in one of the most beautiful places of the world, and I didn't even know it existed. So I'm learning sometimes with these my podcast guests. I have a bit of a geography lesson at the same time. So can you please explain, if my listeners are listening, I mean, they're from all around the world, but especially my Aussie and Kiwi listeners, so they can visualize where you're coming from today. Where are you?
Sure. Well, I'm just on the other side of the Pacific Ocean. I'm on the top corner, the west coast of the United States in Washington State, on an island called Whidbey Island. It's part of a beautiful body of water called the Puget Sound, where you probably heard of Seattle and maybe even heard of the San Juan Islands. We're right up against the edge of Canada and Vancouver, Canada. So maybe shouting out some of these places can orient you, but it's gorgeous. We have rainforests here. We have beautiful summers. We have rain, like it's paradise. There's gorgeous flora and fauna, and the people are pretty cool too.
I can see that. Yeah. So today I've actually had like a kind of list of questions I want to ask you, but I just really don't think that's good. I just think we're going to shoot from the hip here. And and I really want to talk about honoring like reshaping our limiting beliefs and our values and what we believe in. But first of all, I can't go any further without asking, how have you got into this purpose and this work that you do?
Well, it's been a long journey, but I was born a psychic intuitive empath, and I've always felt and seen and understood that we weren't at the effect of what was coming at us, that we had more agency in life, like the ability to dictate what we do, how we feel, and change our circumstances. I was adopted into a family with a lot of drug, alcohol, mental health, poverty. So there was a lot of dysfunction in the household growing up, and I could see it. And I knew that it didn't have to be that way. And at a young age of 3, my neighborhood, the people in the neighborhood started calling me the CIA, because at 3 years old, I knew things that there was no way I should know. I would walk around and I'd go to people's houses and talk to them about why was this happening and why are they having a challenge with their husband. And so,
Wow. Wow.
I came in with a lot of this, but it was kind of shut down. That's not, I grew up, the family I was in, and bless them. I mean, they did their best, and thank God I had a family. And they were Christian. And so me coming through with all of this really frightened them. They didn't understand it, and they really wanted me to shut it down. And so I kind of did. It was in quiet. I still had my experiences and knowing, but I didn't really talk about it much. And when I was 15, one of my best friend's moms said she wanted to look at my hand one day, and she started reading my palm. And she said, I've got to look at your astrology. And she did my chart and told me about myself. And it was everything I had known about myself that I was meant to kind of believe was wrong by my family, but it felt honored and understood in this language of astrology. So that changed me. I just knew that, okay, I can't rely on my family to validate me. I've got to figure this out on my own. And I started this incredible journey of devouring, philosophy, metaphysics, different religious and cultural texts from around the world, just really trying to figure out what was going on and how did everything here work. And I discovered a lot, and I honed my own skills. And so by the time I was, I guess, I was about 30-ish, I learned I needed to change careers because I was doing something and I developed carpal tunnel. So in my life, there's been traumas and physical things that have brought me to these places where something has to change, and they've been the biggest gifts. And so that carpal tunnel situation made me realize I had to embrace what my soul was asking me to do. And my soul was asking me to participate in people's transformation. And so at that point, I started asking questions to people that were doing like organizational development, motivational speaking, because at that point, life coaching was just beginning. It hadn't even taken off. And one of the ladies, when I was talking to her about my passion and what I felt called to give as a service, she said, well, that sounds like life coaching. You should look into that. And I thought, what? And so I looked and I went and got trained with CTI, which was one of the founders of this whole profession. And at the day one, when I walked into that class and the teacher started, the program, I knew I had found my thing. It was like I was home. And that led me on a journey. And by being a coach for people, it honed my intuition, because in the coaching I was trained in, they really honored the intuition and they trained you on how to use it inside of your sessions, where some schools didn't honor that. So I really appreciated that. I knew that that was something I needed. That was a gift that I had. And so with each session, I was getting sharper and quicker and faster and better. And all my kind of clairs started opening up, my clairaudience, where I could hear things, my clair sentience, where I'd feel things, my claircognizant, where things would always just drop in. I've had that strong my whole life. That's like that CIA part where I just know stuff. And so I thought, this is really interesting. And then, I have this mentor, which was one of the most brilliant things I've ever done in my life, was to ask her to be a mentor, Dory Lynn Ray. She really introduced me to energy medicine, because at this point, now fast forward, I had that carpal tunnel. Now I'm having all these symptoms and I get diagnosed with fibromyalgia. And, Western medicine at the time was just discovering it. Women were flooding in, but they were telling me, you need to see a psychiatrist, you need to see a psychologist, you're mental, this isn't real, there's nothing on your blood test, so it doesn't exist. And I thought, this isn't right. And they told me, you can take this medicine for life. That's all we got for you. So I went on a quest because I knew someone had to have figured this out. And I found this doctor in West LA where I had lived at the time. And he helped me. Within 3 months. I was feeling 80% better. It was amazing. So then I realized there was something else still in me, but I didn't want to do any more therapy. It wasn't that. I needed something else. And I asked him, I said, do you have any colleagues that could work on this? I feel like it's an emotional something. I don't know what it is. And he said, yes, my colleague, Dory Lynn Ray, just created this body of work, Selfhood Systems. I think you should try this out. I went, I met her, blew my mind. It was my introduction into energy medicine. And I started working with her and I helped her synthesize her work into a workshop form. And flash forward, here I am starting to explore energy medicine. And that blew everything open for me. Because when you really understand that everything, I mean, everything is energy, now you can work with it because nothing is any different. And now you know what the base component is. And now you just understand how to work with energy. And my life completely changed. So then I got trained as a Reiki master, and I'm a seeker of knowledge and wisdom and techniques because I know that this world needs some support right now. And I really came here to anchor more light. So I'm out there taking on, different courses and learning different things and bringing it back to my clients. Well, first I'm using it on myself and seeing the transformation, then bringing it to my clients, witnessing their transformation. And, it just has led me on this journey. And that's how I got here. During COVID, I knew that there was going to be a lot more trauma on the planet. And so I needed to find what is the best tool for trauma. And that's when I started studying EFT, emotional freedom techniques. And then I got trained and certified in matrix reimprinting, which is one of the best, most gentlest trauma techniques. And then I went on after that because I'm using this and I see once people get through the trauma, they're still left with these old programs, these old beliefs, and like, how can we get them through this? And I realized, well, let's look at the subconscious, because subconscious takes in 400 billion bits of information per second. Our conscious brain only takes in 2,000 bits of information. So the subconscious is taking 10 times more information. So that's really where you want to go. So so then I got trained and certified as a hypnotherapist. So that's led me to where I am today with the skills that I have to be able to really facilitate the kind of breakthroughs that my clients come to me for. Mm-hmm. And I really help them be on purpose because the world needs us now. It really is a critical time in human evolution. And I'm here to anchor more light because the more light, the less dark. And we have both, but there's an inordinate amount of darkness, so that's how I got here in a sort of quick nutshell.
How beautiful, though. I really felt I was with you that whole time you were sharing that. And it's really interesting, the energetic medicine. I'm going to come back to that. But one of the big things that you've just spoken about is something that I actually work with my clients on, and I'm really big on, is the subconscious, is the conditioning that, and I recently have just learned what my conditioning was. I have been working on my archetypes and working on that really deep subconscious conditioning for myself. And this stuff is so deep that even when it is presented to you, like especially a lot of work I've done about my parents and understanding who I am today and why I've created the patterns I have in my life is because of my childhood, but watching my parents subconsciously. And like, I know where I get my traits from. I know why I've repeated the patterns. I've healed that. But it was so interesting going the onion layers, going deeper, and even looking at it going, no, I don't do that. And you have to be really honest with yourself when you look at that subconscious conditioning, and you have to call yourself out and you go, wow, yeah, I actually did see that from my parents. And that's why I do what I do. And it changes everything. Once you get down to that layer, that's the biggest transformation, is the awareness of, oh, wow.
Yeah. And going into that with the compassion and no judgment, understanding that it is just a mechanism of being human. I mean, the subconscious is a reactive emotional center. It just stores everything. And our emotions rule everything. You know, there's been so much focus on mindfulness and, you know, the thought, like we've exercised that to bits, and still yet we don't have the results we're looking for. And it's because the emotions come first, and our emotions are built from our worldview. And so it's like we've got to work with and heal those places that are traumatized and wounded, like those emotional tender spots. And like you said, it's those layers, and it can get dark down there. That's why they call it shadow work.
Very dark. You have to take the torch with you.
Yeah, exactly. And I always recommend that people go into that work grounded and connected to their higher self. That's that torchlight, right? And so it's this opportunity to have a new relationship with ourselves, because it's the judgments that we place on those parts of us that aren't evolved. And I mean, my gosh, most of this comes in when we're under 12. So how is any part of us that's under 12 to make grown-up logical sense out of what they're witnessing? We can't. And so it's like to have that compassion and no judgment. It's just like being human is so messy. You just kind of got to laugh at it.
Yeah.
And be like, oh my God, thank God I found that. And sometimes you have to really feel the impact, because we've been playing those patterns and they kind of really created hurt with us, with other, and there's truth to feeling that impact. But then you love that part and move on.
The way I kind of want to describe it, because I think, like, even not too, like, recently I've learned this stuff, but before I was trying to think of how to explain it to someone that's listening to this, that yes, I can say subconscious work, I can say the deeper work, but I think to help explain it further is to say to people, like, you know how you have a thought, your thought then will turn into an emotion, and then it will turn into a behavior, but those thoughts are not real. Most of the time the thoughts we have is made up of the story, and then the story is linked to what we've been conditioned. So I think, and then once we know what that story is, then our real being is underneath that story. Once you pick apart the story and go, actually, where's the evidence of this? Oh, I'm useless. Or how many times when people are sharing something with me, they go, oh, I want to say something. This is really stupid, but I'm going to share this. So people are constantly, if you actually hear what you're saying to yourself, subconsciously or consciously, you hear the negative word patterns. And then when I say to people, okay, well, you're useless. Absolutely. Give me some evidence. Where are you useless? And people go, oh, I just say that. I'm like, well, I know, but your whole entire being is always saying that you're useless. So give me some examples. And then people go, oh, no. Or people go, oh, I should, I have to, I must. And then when I stop people, I had someone the other day, I'm just trying to think of the example. I think she just said, oh, I'm really broken. Like, really, it was a couple of words, like, I'm really broken and I'm really useless. And I went, oh, sorry, what did you say? I heard her the first time. And I said, sorry, what did you say? And she said, oh, I'm broken and useless. And I went, oh. I said, sorry, what did you say? And she goes, I'm broken. Oh. So sometimes we need to say something we are so on automatic pilot
Yeah.
that even,
Well,
yeah.
we have over 64,000 thoughts a day. So the other thing is I'm a neuroscience geek. Like I just love all this. So we have over 64,000 thoughts a day. And you're right, most of it's on autopilot. And I'd like to go back to what you said about we have a thought that creates an emotion and then a story. That's actually not accurate.
Oh,
We're finding that it's the emotion comes first. We have a thought to make sense of the feeling, and then a story's crafted. So it's a primitive function in how we work. And that's part of what I'm really excited to kind of get out to the world is what we're discovering is that we've been sort of hyper focused on the thought.
yeah.
And it's really the emotion and the thoughts. I think as a collective, we're terrified of emotions. I know in the US, we're emotionally illiterate. It's like we're constipated. And, there's really no reason, but we just haven't been taught. There's been this fear, like you're hysterical, don't get too emotional, and if you're a guy, guys don't cry, be a man, all this stuff. And so really going and looking at the emotion and getting like, why are we having these chronic emotional patterns? That's a great place to look. Like, wow, I have a lot of, sadness, or I go a lot straight to judging myself as worthless. Like, I feel like I'm not worthy. Okay, well, where does that come from? Let's go work with that, because it generally comes from those conditions, right? But we've got to feel them out. There's also this whole idea of like, just put on a positive face, think positively. That doesn't work. You can't layer positivity on top of a pile of poo and expect it to be like all sparkly. So we have to do that work, and it doesn't have to be laborious, and it doesn't have to wreck us, but it has to be acknowledged, because these are all parts of us that fractured off. So when you're talking about archetypes, those are parts of us that we want to pull in and integrate. We've got the capacity for all of it, good, bad, and ugly. But it's like we don't want to have any one of those parts really own us.
No.
We want to have the whole team in harmony so that we are at choice, more at choice.
If someone's listening to this, because obviously when you've done the work, you say it a lot and you go, you got to do the work. But if anyone's listening to this and going, I really hear everyone say you got to do the work, how would we explain to someone what work looks like or means?
That's a great question. And I had this conversation with my client the other day, because we've worked together for a while and she's not doing her work. She's, so what the work is facing the parts of you that you would rather avoid and looking at and peeling the onions. It's not listening to a podcast and resonating with it and being like, oh, I got that. Or, taking a class and participating, but not really being vulnerable. It's about going into those parts that have been stashed or, somehow rejected, and actually being with them. And it can be uncomfortable and it can be scary, and not all of it you should do alone, but there's a lot that you can do alone. And most of the work lands in the realm of emotions. And that's like, if I can share anything with your people, it's if you want the most bang for your buck for transformation, go do the emotional work. There's this belief out there that we're going to get stuck in it. We're going to lose ourselves. We're going to look weird. It's going to totally wreck our lives. We're not going to be able to recover to where we are.
Yeah.
None of that is true. None of it. It is the most liberating experience. And, one of the simple things you can do to prove that to yourself is to think of something that is uncomfortable. Maybe don't go for your big T trauma, but go for something next time you feel a strong emotion that you would rather put away. Like maybe you're going to eat something or drink something or go do something to get away from it. Instead, take a timer. You can use your phone, put it on 90 seconds and just sit with that feeling. It will transform. We know that. This is a studied practice. And so it's the practice of being with the discomfort without judgment, without trying to fix it, without trying to change it or make any meaning out of it. Just be with it and it will transform. It physiologically happens. The body doesn't want to store things, and the body will let you know when it's got stuff stored, Like, for instance, that diagnosis I got of fibromyalgia, when I met my mentor and started doing that work with her, it's all emotional alchemy work. All of a sudden, I don't have any symptoms. And it's like, whoa, I cleared out some old pain and emotions, and all of a sudden, health came forward. So, yeah, it's really doing the work is being vulnerable and uncomfortable and showing up and saying, I need help. I don't want to live with this anymore. I don't want to fake it. I don't want to wear a mask. I'm tired of making them wrong. Forgiveness is eating me, unforgiveness is eating me alive. My relationships don't work. I'm chronically depleted. All the things, they all have an anecdote. It's the work. So
Yeah.
it shows up in different ways.
Thank you for sharing that. I think that makes a lot of sense. Well, it makes a lot of sense, but people are afraid of when big emotions come up, they're scared that once it's open or once it's there, it's never going to leave them. So, and I say this, so it's nice hearing it from someone else that I can say to my clients, listen to this, because the feeling does wash over you. It is there, but when there's no judgment and you sit with it, it then kind of, I always say like the wave, because people can visualize a wave. So I always say it comes up, and then when you sit with it, it's uncomfortable as hell, and then it will wash over you. But it's been processed. It's done. It's, you know what I mean?
It is. And what's happening at a energetic level is entrainment, because nature doesn't like two differentiating wavelengths. And say the wavelength of, unforgiveness in our body, or, that feeling that we're having, like, oh, they're so wrong, they did me wrong. That's one wavelength, right? You introduce love, which is what you're doing by coming in there and saying, I'm not judging you. I just want to reintegrate this part of myself, and I'm just going to be accepting here, right? Love is a much more dominant wavelength than anger or fear, betrayal, or any of those wavelengths. And if you come in there without judgment and hold that, your body entrains. And this wavelength that was, anger or unforgiveness will transform into love. And that's what's happening in that wave. And that's why it washes out, because that wave that was like the crashing wave gets smoothed out by the love wave. It's
Wow.
a law of physics.
Yeah. Yeah. So a lot of
Yeah.
people really need to listen to their body. Even if they're not too sure about their thoughts, do you think a good place for people to start is their body and how they feel in their body, or what their body's presenting, whether it's a rash or a sore arm or a sore shoulder?
Yeah, the body's our best friend on this journey. It will help us, and it's going to show us, because, there's even a book called The Body Keeps Score. And it talks about how trauma gets stored in our body, and it's predictable where it shows up. If you look at traditional Chinese medicine, they've mapped where emotionally the emotions live in different organs of our body. Kidneys are fear, liver is anger, heart is, or lungs are grief. So we can look and kind of get a sense of, if I have a lung problem, what's going on there? Is there grief? Do I have self-love? Is there something like a deep pain that hasn't, or if my liver's kind of clogged up or something, what anger am I holding on to? And knees, like, so there's a great author and pioneer in New Thought, Louise Hay. She's no longer on the planet, but she, beautiful human, brought so much to us. And she has this one great little book that is Heal Your Body. And it's, the mental causes for physical illnesses and the metaphysical way to overcome them. So I think everyone would be great by having this little book in their house, because then you can look up and say, like, oh, skin issues. Let's see what's going on there. Well, skin protects our individuality. It's a sensing organ. So, wow, am I not feeling safe? And then the affirmation would be, I feel safe to be me, but it can help you go, where am I not feeling safe? Oof. Well, here it is. So I absolutely look at your body. It's talking to you all day long. The other thing you can look at is, how's your life working? Like, if you're having relationship problems, go look at your relationships with your mom and dad. How are they? Like, you can kind of follow the crumbs and start finding. And when you turn inward with curiosity of, what can I do to make my life better and to heal this area or this thing, your body's like, okay, here, let's go. Things will present themselves. People will show up. You'll hear something. You'll get an intuitive hit. Maybe you're at the store with your friend and she starts talking about a remedy she used for something and she didn't even know you had a skin issue. So it's like, as soon as you decide to turn inward and choose to be on a healing journey, the universe shows up and all sorts of support starts showing up in really, magical ways. That's one of the things I love about this experience in this body at this time. I mean, just the complete support of everything in our environment for our journey.
Because it wants to help us. We always think, I think especially as being females, if we don't look a certain way, and personally, that's what I struggled with for a lot of my life, and that's why I do the work I do now, is I didn't look like anyone around me, especially once I hit puberty. My body changed so much that my body did not look like anyone else's around me. When you're a young girl, and you don't look like the normal, what society deems as beauty. Like, I mean the physicality of my body, having broad shoulders and just strong and being a bit muscly naturally, and it wasn't seen around those times, and that's a very hard thing. I really hated my body because I was like, this is unfair. Why? And I spent many years trying to be something I'm not. I didn't know any better, but I was looking at everyone else around me going, I couldn't even share clothes with my friends, and I couldn't, I just wanted to desperately look like something. And in that, if anyone can relate to that, that comes from a place of like not honoring yourself and not knowing that you're an individual, and really a lot of hatred and a lot of like really sad times. And that was everything that you'd think about, everything you'd do from morning till night. And it takes up a lot of capacity. And that was part of my thing, that I'll always be working on that part of me. But now I'm like, oh, this is why I was given this. Right. Okay. I understand. But yeah, when you listen to your body, it can be a very hard thing, because a lot of things can be, what you do, or what you say to yourself, or how you treat yourself. But it's easier to keep doing it because the other side, you think, oh my God, that's going to be so much harder. When in fact, once you dip your toe in, it's harder at first, but then you can see both sides and then go, wow, that's not going to rule my life anymore.
Yeah. talk about liberation. And oh man, that I have so much compassion for your adolescent self. I was awkward at that age too. And adolescence is such a hard journey to go through. I have a teenage son, and it's not easier for boys. It's wild. I just, from being a girl having my own experience, I thought boys had it so easy. No, everyone, it's hard for everyone. So, yeah, but once you get there and you sit, it's more, I think, the unfamiliar and feeling consciously incompetent when you go to do some of the work that makes it feel hard. But it once you, like you said, you feel that sense of like, oh, this isn't going to own me anymore.
Mm.
There's like a relief. And, as human beings, one of my heroes is Nikola Tesla, right? And he said the secrets to the universe you can find in looking at frequency vibration, right? And so when you think about everything being energy and everything being a frequency or a vibration, we know now, and we've mapped it with scientific tools, so it's not just like some idea, that certain things vibrate at certain frequencies. And we know certain emotions vibrate at these lower frequencies. Not that like high, low is bad. It's just to understand where you want to be in your life. And we know that when we get in there and we clear out something that was a lower vibration, like self-hatred, right? Or self-blame or external blame, any of that, that's holding you down. That's like keeping you from flying. Like if you want to have all these things in your life and you're holding on to this, there's no way you're going to be a vibrational match for it. And that's motivation to do the work, right? Because everyone has dreams, but the realization is that you can't just want a dream and not change your frequency or vibration. And the biggest lifts you can get are from those moments where you clear, because then you lift naturally, because that's no longer tethering you.
Mm.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I don't know anything about frequency and vibrations. Is there anything like, I know sometimes you can listen to certain, is it 432 hertz that can
Yeah.
help remind me
Those are
what
the
it is?
Sapagio.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you can look those up. They have great lists on Spotify or YouTube or Apple Music. But yes, and use them. Use them in your space. I use them when my kid, well, I still use them, but I used them a lot when he was younger, when he'd have those like, so I have a kid that's neurodiverse. He has autism. And there was a lot of emotional dysregulation. And I would try all sorts of things. But what I would do, and I still do, is I pull up those frequencies and I choose like love or anxiety relief, whatever, and play them. The cats will all like chill and get all mellow. He'll just sit and start to be reflected. It's awesome. Again, because it's a dominant vibration. So the thing to know about energy and vibration is that the dominant vibration will always win. And we as human beings can't hold a dominant vibration because we have an emotional body. We have a mental body, a physical body, a spiritual body, and an emotional body. Our emotional body is like a roller coaster, right? Like happy, sad, depressed, grief, joy,
Yeah.
you know,
All in one day.
yeah, all in an hour, right? So uh, we just can't hold a dominant vibration. But when we introduce things into our environment that hold a dominant vibration, we will entrain to them. We will become aligned with that vibration. So that's why music, it doesn't have an emotional body. And if it's programmed to those frequencies, that's a dominant vibration. You will entrain to that. And
Mm.
that feels really, really good. And when you're entrained to those frequencies, your brain waves change. Normally, we're going in a beta brainwave, do, get done,
Yeah.
task, do. And that creates a whole amygdala dysfunction. It gets you kind of always in that fight, flight, or freeze. Oh my God, I got to get it done. I'm late. Oh, what if I don't get it done? I'm going to get fired. Right? So by putting these things, that's the other reason why you mentioned how I have all these crystals. This is a hematoid quartz. And so it's got hematite, that's the orange in there.
Yeah, that's
And then the rest is,
beautiful.
isn't it gorgeous?
Yeah.
But this is a grounding stone. And so I keep this here because I do a lot of work in a non-physical realm when I work with my clients. And so I need to be grounded because I am a soul having a human experience on planet Earth. And this helps me get back into my body because it doesn't have an emotional body, but I
Mm.
do. And so by using sound, crystals, essential oils, that's another great one because that goes straight into your limbic system. And immediately those chemical compounds do what they do, and our body knows how to use them. Um, so, yeah, frequency and vibration, it's all about getting yourself into the right space and anchoring yourself there. Because when you have these dreams and desires, there's a gap, right, between where you are and where those live. And to tend that gap is clearing out all the things that aren't in alignment with that dream.
Mm.
And that's the emotional work, that's repatterning, right? That's dealing with all that the chronic emotional patterns. The other thing is that we get addicted to certain emotional patterns because they dose us with chemicals. And it's like I had to watch some of my clients go through withdrawal of being addicted to anger. It's like it's real. Our body is the biggest pharmacy. So when I talk about doing the work in frequency and vibration, a lot of this you can learn and do yourself. But if you're new to it, don't. you know, have someone that's capable, like myself for you, help get you along on this journey and get you the tools and get you used to using them so that you have the resources and that you can take care of your own energetic and emotional hygiene.
Mm.
That's a big thing I talk about. At the turn of the 20th century, we learned that washing our hands really made a big difference. And then at like 1938, we started dental hygiene, and that really improved the quality of our life. And it's the 21st century, and it's time to really understand that we're energetic beings. And as such, we need to care for our energetic nature. And I'm not talking about like adding hours onto your day. You can habit stack with other things that you're doing to take care of that. But it's so important to create a practice for yourself.
Mm. And on that energetic level, I mean, I'm learning. I'm so intrigued because I know about it, and now you're just reconfirming that. Yeah, I've got to do that. The essential oils, yes. Crystals, yes.
Yes.
Um,
And color. Don't underestimate color. So, color has its own vibration. Purple is the fastest vibrating, red is the slowest vibrating. It doesn't mean bad or good, it just is what it is. But you can utilize color to impact your mood, to influence the other person's mood, like, because they're going to be looking at you. And if you want them to feel a certain way when they look at you, you can do something with the color. You can utilize it to help yourself stay grounded. And the reason I bring up grounding a lot is because right now on the planet, with so much trauma and breakdown and transformation, a lot of people are just not in their body. It's just too much. And so grounding is really important because you can't really function at your best if you're not in your body fully connected to the earth. And so something like wearing red undies or black underwear or red socks works on that first chakra to help you stay more grounded and connected.
Red undies or black undies or red socks or black socks. Yeah, okay. We can do that. That's fantastic.
Little simple things that make a big difference over time.
Wow. What's the color? I'm just going to use me as an example. So if I'm sitting with people and I'm wanting them to feel safe and to open up and to feel love, what color should be reflecting back at them?
Blue and greens, those are very calming, soothing, and they support them. They'll not energize them, but they'll fill up their tank. Because usually people might be feeling a little low or depleted. Yeah. That will give them a little feel good. And purple is a great color, like lavender. Because when you think about the chakra system, are you familiar with it?
A little bit, yeah.
So your crown chakra, which is your connection to spirit or the universe, is purple or white. So, having that present can give them a sense of, reassurance and that connectedness to a bigger thing.
I watch you when you're in flow and then you come out of it and you're like, I don't know what I just said. I've actually watched you the whole time do that. You say something and then you go, oh, I'm back. I watch you leave and then I watch you come back, and it's such a powerful thing. You're amazing. Okay, so like I said in the beginning, I wanted to circle back at the end to talk about energetic medicine because we're talking about energy. I know it must be such a huge topic, but in simple terms, because I don't even know what it is, can you share with us what energetic medicine is or what it looks like?
Yeah, absolutely. So everything is energy, and we as human beings are a field of energy. And we have all these systems and meridians and energy centers and organs, and they're all doing their thing. And we're multidimensional. We're not just one dimension. Like I said, we have a mental field. And so all those beliefs and thoughts and stories are always active in that field. Then we have an emotional field. And whatever's current is running through there, and all the things that we haven't expressed out that for whatever reason, just has been stuck in there. Then we have a physical body, and those are, our organs, our muscles, our tissues, and all those. And then we have a spiritual body, that part of us that is connected to whatever is on the other side of this human experience, And so all of those areas are always working. But in our Western culture here, we predominantly focus on the physical. That's why America's so sick. We are the only culture in history that we know of that does not honor moving energy as necessary for healing. So Gurgi St. Georgi, and I'm sure I didn't do his name justice, he's a Nobel Prize winner. He's the one who researched that and shared that with the world. And so really what happens and what we can see, and people who see energy, like Donna Eden, she's an amazing teacher in the world of energetic medicine. What we see is that when energy, and I see this and I can feel this when I'm working with people, energy gets dense in places, or it gets jaggy and there's holes, because there's not only us working in our system, but other people can influence us because there's entanglement. And so I'm giving you a little short version of this, but if anyone's curious about this, I encourage you to look at quantum physics and to look at Michael Gerber and energy medicine. They just explain it so well. But what happens is those frequencies and those experiences either get dense or stuck, or they show up in all weird ways, but they're not in, coherent form. They're out of coherence. But when we introduce something else in there, like a tuning fork, or maybe a supplement that carries a certain frequency, or a modality like Reiki, where we're introducing pure positive energy into the body, and the body takes it and is like, thanks for those raw materials, because the body is so infinitely intelligent and brilliant. It knows what to do. We just have to clear the things out of the way that are stopping the body from doing its thing. And that's really what energy medicine does, is it introduces a catalyst to get the gunk out of the way so the body can do its thing. Yeah.
Yeah. How do we not know about this? That's just.
Well, that's a whole other show.
I think I know. Yeah. Well, I won't touch on that, but actually, sorry, I call myself out. I do know.
Yeah.
You have given us such an array of things to think about. And I actually don't have any words, which is so rare for me right now. It's actually that good. And, I really want everyone to listen to this, because it's a different perspective, and it's not woo-woo. It's not spiritual. It's actually health. Like, it's actually caring for your body. And when you explain the different, it's not just mental and physical and emotional and spiritual, and you've got all these different layers, we don't care for all of those layers.
No. And what happens is that what I realize, and underneath all of that, is sloppy boundaries, or just the lack of boundaries. And we don't really realize how important it is to have energetic boundaries. If we're in relationship with someone, we're entangled, which means we have lines of energy going to each other. If you're in arm's distance of someone, you're merging and sharing their energy. And if when you step away from that, if you don't clear that energy, you're now taking Sally home with you. So, like I shared with you, I worked with counseling centers. And one of the main things that I do there is teach the therapists how to have proper energetic boundaries so that they aren't burnt out by the end of the day, that they can be of best service, and that they don't take on their client stuff. Because there's a lot of empath and highly sensitive people that work in this profession. And if you haven't been taught, the way you learned to do it as a kid was, let me just take it. And that's going to end up making you sick, burnt out, and really not good if that's continued. So, for your listeners, because I'm sure that they're, energetically sensitive, empathic, if they're tuning in to learn about this, really learning about energetic boundaries, learning how to create your own, cleaning up the way that you do your day so that you have beginnings and endings to anything that has to do with other. Otherwise, you're draining your energy. They still got your energy. You still got theirs. And you're going to be exhausted by the end of the day. Grounding, learning how to clear your energy. And these are all things that I teach. I know there's other teachers out there, but it's really such a powerful foundational set of skills for this 21st century. And you become the manager of your energy field. It's like taking more agency and sovereignty for your life and being like, yeah, no, I got this. And then taking care of yourself. You don't rely on other people to brush your teeth. You don't. It's like there's a way of more self-responsibility really empowers you and changes your experience of how day in and day out life is.
Wow. You've gifted us so many tools today. Just thank you. It's just been so insightful. And I think there's a little bit of there for everyone, no matter where they're at getting to know themselves and living a better life and living a life where they feel good every day, and
Yeah.
getting to know themselves, because so many people wake up and just ignore what their body is telling them, ignore what their intuition is telling them. And we all do get to a point where we're like, enough is enough. I actually can't do this anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's usually that intersection, right? Something happens, a breakup, an illness, a death, something big will trigger that, or the pain just becomes too much,
Mm-hmm.
you know? Uh, and so I just really encourage people to do something in this realm, get to know yourself as an energetic being better. Like you'll discover you have so much more power. And it think of it as not just for you, but for the world. Because I know right now so many people are feeling helpless, like they don't know how to help with all the tragedy that's happening. Well, the thing that you can do that is the best thing you can do is to take responsibility for your own energy field, clean up your own wounds and traumas, update your belief system, make up new stories. You authored the ones you have, create some new ones. And that is one of the best gifts you can give. When Gandhi said, be the change you want to see in the world, he wasn't just like, oh, yeah, be the change. Like, literally, you do your own work and watch the world change because everything around you will change.
Oh.
It just gets better.
Yeah, right. So if anyone's listening to this, like me, um, where can they find you to connect with you to, if they want to work with you, where can we find you?
Yeah, well, my website is michellewoodward.com. That's two L's and a RAE. My dad named me Ray because I was his ray of sunshine. So that was sweet.
That makes sense. Looking at you, she's the most beautiful. I've never seen someone with so much light in them before.
Oh, thank you.
Honestly, so that makes sense. Yes.
Yes. Well, and I do the work, right? Like my energetic hygiene, it makes me sparkle. If I left all the things and I let the world get me and I didn't do my work, I wouldn't be like this. So,
You do
it
sparkle.
pays.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Also, I'm on Instagram at Michelle Ray Woodward. I'm on Facebook. I think the same thing. But at my website at the bottom, it lists because I'm on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook, but mostly on Instagram.
Yeah, same here. Yeah, that's okay. So I'll put all that in the show notes.
Yeah.
But it has been, wow, it's just been such an insightful chat. You've just given us you've explained things in a way where I think everyone's got to understand this different level, this next level. We're leveling up ourselves, our health, our being. And like you said, it doesn't just trickle within, it trickles without. Like it changes everything. And you imagine tomorrow morning waking up feeling lighter. And I mean, feeling lighter in your body, but just energetically and being like, I've got this and I can create anything I want. And I feel healthy and I have energy and I feel good. I think that's what we all would like at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Also on my website, I have a lot of content. Like I have some trances, hypnotherapy trances for anxiety, sleep, and confidence. I have some blogs and some other videos and things, and I'll post our interview up there too for people to listen to. But I try to make it a resource for people so that they have something when they come there that they can experience.
Thank you so much for your time today and for just
Absolutely.
sharing all your wisdom and your knowledge.
Oh, thank you for the opportunity, Barbara. It was so great to meet you and connect. You're a beautiful spirit. And this is so wonderful that you're doing these podcasts to support people. I mean, it's really good work.
Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. I hope this conversation has added value to your self-care journey and inspired positive changes in your life. If you enjoyed this episode, consider sharing it with a friend who might benefit from this episode. Don't forget to subscribe on Spotify or on your favourite podcast platform to stay up to date on future episodes. Your support means the world to me. I genuinely love hearing from you, so please take a moment to leave a review. Let me know which part of today's episode resonated with you the most. Your feedback guides the direction of this podcast, and I really appreciate each and every single one of you for being a part of this community. To fall in love with yourself is the first secret to happiness. To find out a bit more about the Studio Chat podcast, head over to my Instagram page, Studio Chat Podcast, or if you want to find out a bit more about my counselling private practice, head over to Instagram on self_care_studio. Or head over to my website, selfcarebybarbarathompson.com.au. I'm really looking forward to seeing you on the next episode. Until next time, take care of yourselves and keep embracing the journey of self-discovery.